India is not just a rising economy anymore, it's becoming a stabilizing force, a tech engine, and a diplomatic bridge in a chaotic world. And I'll tell you why Europe and the Middle East are turning their eyes to it. Today, I'm not just here to talk about electric cars, Mars, or AI. I want to talk to you about India, not just as the world's most populous nation, but as a force of stability, innovation, and global collaboration in a deeply divided world. Let's explore why the Middle East and Europe are now turning towards India, economically, politically, and diplomatically. And I'm saying this as someone who sees the future, and India is shaping it. Let's not beat around the bush. The global power structure is undergoing a complete recalibration, and if you're not paying attention, you'll miss the biggest geopolitical shift of this century. We're watching the old world order struggle to stay relevant, while a new axis of influence quietly rises, and guess who's right at the epicenter of that shift? India. We've grown up in a world where the narrative was always West leads, East follows. But now, for the first time in modern history, India isn't just participating in the global economy, it's shaping it. And that changes everything. Let me put it this way. When you've got a nation with the largest working-age population, a democratic framework, and an innovation-driven economy, you're not just watching a country rise, you're watching a civilizational force reboot itself. Europe sees it, the Middle East sees it, even China sees it, and quietly fears it. Because while many nations are getting stuck in political dysfunction, aging populations, or economic fatigue, India is moving forward, fast. It's the fastest growing major economy, period. It's building smart cities, while also launching satellites into space. It's digitizing villages, while simultaneously exporting AI talent to the world's top tech firms. It's creating momentum, and momentum is everything. See, the world right now is like a high-stakes chessboard. Europe, fragmented and cautious. The US, divided and distracted. China, aggressive but plateauing. But India is the quiet power that's learning every move, studying the board, playing long-term, and most importantly, building leverage. That's what makes India different. It's not rushing to dominate the headlines with threats or warships. It's dominating with stability, scale, and strategic patience. And that's incredibly powerful in a world that's craving certainty. And here's the kicker. This shift isn't just economic. It's philosophical. It's cultural. It's a reawakening of one of the oldest civilizations on Earth, now armed with code, satellites, data, and startups. That combination, it's unprecedented. So why are the Middle East and Europe turning toward India? Because they can feel the shift. They know that India brings both weight and wisdom. It's not trying to replace anyone, it's simply becoming irreplaceable. The future will not be decided by who controls oil or who builds more weapons. It will be decided by who controls innovation, who builds trust, and who can sustain growth without chaos. And right now, India is checking all those boxes. This is not a prediction. This is happening right now, and the world is watching. Let me make something very clear. In the 21st century, trust is currency. It's more valuable than oil, gold, or even data. And right now, in a world where alliances are fragile and economic stability is rare, India is emerging as one of the most trusted growth partners on the planet. You see, we're moving into an era where countries don't just want power, they want predictability. Europe wants partners who don't flip overnight due to regime change. The Middle East wants long-term collaborators who won't hijack deals with ideology or dominance. And in that vacuum of uncertainty, India stands out like a signal fire. Why? Because India isn't erratic, it isn't authoritarian, and it doesn't play games with smaller nations. Instead, India is stable, transparent, and strategic, all at the same time. It's a partner you can build a 10, 20, even 50-year vision with. Let's talk facts. France isn't just signing defense contracts with India, it's forming strategic joint ventures. Germany is not just exporting cars, it's importing digital innovation from India. The UAE and Saudi Arabia aren't just looking at trade routes, they're funneling billions into Indian infrastructure and tech. Because they understand this, India delivers. It's not making promises in press releases and failing behind closed doors. It's launching payment systems that work at the street vendor level and scaling to billions. It's building expressways and digital highways simultaneously. This kind of execution, that's rare, and it's what makes India bankable. And here's the golden layer. India doesn't come with political strings attached. It's not exporting ideology, it's not demanding conformity, it's offering partnerships that are respectful, flexible, and grounded in mutual interest. That's why nations, especially in the Middle East, are leaning in. They've had their run-ins with Western arrogance and Eastern authoritarianism, but India treats them as equals. It understands ancient cultures, shared values, and long-term vision. Let me tell you, in business, whether it's Tesla, SpaceX, or Neuralink, the best partner is the one who stays consistent under pressure, who respects the mission, and who shows up when it counts. That sits India. In a time when global markets are unpredictable, and political alliances are shifting like sand. So yes, the Middle East is turning toward India. Europe is turning toward India, and soon the whole world will, because trust is rare, and India has earned it. You don't bet on noise, you bet on substance. And right now, India is all substance. Now let's talk about something truly revolutionary, the India-Middle East-Europe Economic Corridor, or IMEC. This isn't just another trade route, this is a historic engineering of global strategy, a 21st century Silk Road, and India is the anchor. I've been building companies that push the limits of transportation, whether it's rockets, hyperloops, or self-driving cars, so believe me when I say this. Infrastructure isn't just about moving goods, it's about moving power. And IMEC is power. Strategic, economic, and diplomatic power flowing from India through the Middle East into the heart of Europe. Let's break it down. What is IMEC? It's a multimodal corridor that links India's western ports to the UAE and Saudi Arabia, then connects via rail networks through Jordan and Israel, all the way to Europe via Greece and Italy. Add in electricity grids, hydrogen pipelines, and fiber optic cables, and you've got a lifeline for the future. And guess who sips driving the energy behind this? India. Because this corridor doesn't just move containers, it moves innovation, energy, and information. The three pillars of future dominance. While China built its Belt and Road Initiative with loans, debt traps, and imperial overreach, India is doing something far more sustainable, building trust-based infrastructure backed by open cooperation, not coercion. This isn't instead a grab for influence. It's a call for balance. The Middle East sees it. They're shifting from oil empires to knowledge economies. They want partners who respect their vision, not exploit it. Europe sees it. They're looking for diversification away from China and more stable democratic sourcing routes. India is the only major power that fits both categories. Trusted by the West, respected by the East, rooted in ancient civilization, driven by modern technology. This corridor could redefine everything. Shorter delivery timelines, reduced energy dependence on volatile regions, direct trade between 3 billion people, massive job creation across continents, digital and clean energy alignment. And think about this, no war, no colonization, no force was needed. Just vision, diplomacy, and execution. That's what makes India different. It's not just building roads and railways, it's building a new world order through peace and partnerships. And IMEC is just the beginning. This is how real superpowers are built. Not with missiles, not with manipulation, but with corridors of trust and flows of progress. So yes, when I look at IMEC, I don't just see trade. I see India becoming the connective tissue of a new global system. It's bold. It's brilliant. It's the future. And it's already happening. Let's get real. In the age of artificial intelligence, space exploration, and energy transformation, the real power doesn't lie in oil or land. It lies in intellect, in code, in brains, not borders. And right now, one country, India, is rapidly emerging as the intellectual capital of the planet. You want to know why Europe and the Middle East are turning toward India? It's because they figured out what some people in the West are only starting to realize. India has the talent. India has the tools. And now, India has the terrain. For decades, Indian engineers, scientists, and doctors were fueling growth in Silicon Valley, London, and Berlin. I've personally worked with Indian minds at Tesla, SpaceX, Neuralink, and let me tell you, they're world-class. Their work ethic is relentless. Their thinking is deep. Their adaptability is unmatched. But here what's changed. And this is a massive shift. India is no longer just exporting its talent. India is building with it at home. Think about that. India is launching its own satellites, landing on the moon. India built the UPI digital payment system, arguably the most advanced real-time payment network in the world. India is producing unicorn startups, AI platforms, and green tech at a scale no one predicted. And it's all homegrown. You know what that means. It means India isn't just participating in the global innovation game, it's setting the rules. And countries like Germany, UAE, and Saudi Arabia see that. Germany is investing in Indian quantum computing labs and EV battery facilities. Saudi Arabia is collaborating on AI research with Indian firms. Dubai is welcoming Indian fintech and edtech platforms that are transforming how business gets done. India has become the ecosystem, not just the employee base. What used to be outsourcing is now a full-on tech partnership model. From AI to aerospace, from blockchain to biotech, India is showing up with solutions, not just resumes. Europe sees this as a chance to reboot its aging innovation engines. The Middle East sees it as a chance to diversify into the digital economy. And India? India sees it as its moment. It's no accident that top CEOs of Google, Microsoft, IBM, and Adobe are of Indian origin. But the real flex now is that those kinds of minds are staying in India, building in India, and exporting global impact from Indian soil. This isn't just about hype. This is about talent gravity, and India is pulling the world in. So if you're building for the future, whether it's clean energy, AI, or interplanetary tech, you better have India in your strategy. Because India isn't just catching up anymore. India is leading, quietly, effectively, and relentlessly. And the smart countries? They are already lining up to collaborate. There's this old world belief that if a country isn't picking sides, it's being passive. That neutrality is weakness. But let me flip that on its head, because in this new world order, neutrality, if it's strategic, is not weakness, it's power. And no one embodies that better right now than India. India's position on the global chessboard is one of the most intelligent and underrated moves of the 21st century. Let me break it down. While the West is locked in endless proxy conflicts, and while China plays geopolitical poker with hidden cards and economic coercion, India is doing something radically different. It's staying independent, it's thinking long-term, and it's operating with clarity. Look at how India handled the Russia-Ukraine war. The West wanted India to fall in line. Russia expected loyalty. What did India do? India chose India. It kept buying discounted oil when it made economic sense for 1.4 billion citizens. But it also sent humanitarian aid to Ukraine. It condemned war but didn't collapse into ideological theater. That sips not indecision. That sips discipline. And the world noticed. Europe, even with its disagreements, respected India's stance. The Middle East admired it, because India didn't fold under pressure. It stood tall, made its own call, and kept its dignity intact. That's what makes India different. It doesn't chase approval, it earns respect. You've got a country that trades with Russia but also hosts US defense drills, builds infrastructure with the UAE while maintaining cultural ties with Iran, partners with Israel in tech while supporting Palestine's rights in international forums. This isn't fence-sitting, this is geopolitical mastery. Because here's the thing. In a polarized world, the power doesn't lie with those screaming from one corner. It lies with the center of gravity, the one who keeps talking to everyone, building bridges where others burn them. And right now, India is the only major power that can sit at every table. East, West, global North, global South, and be taken seriously. This kind of balance, maturity, and sovereignty, it's extremely rare, and countries are noticing. That's why Europe wants more of India as a moderator, a partner, a supplier, and a friend. That's why the Middle East is deepening ties, not just in oil, but in education, technology, and diplomacy. Because India doesn't judge, it listens, it builds, it respects. And that approach, it sits winning the future. So, let's stop confusing silence with weakness. India sips. Neutrality is not passive. It's laser-focused strategy, wrapped in humility, backed by strength, and guided by purpose. And in a world full of noise, India's calm clarity is magnetic. You know what's interesting? In a world obsessed with hard power, missiles, markets, media control, the most underestimated force today is cultural gravity. And when it comes to that, India is a black hole, pulling the world in, not with force, but with connection. Especially in the Middle East, India isn't just respected, it's familiar. it's trusted, it's rooted. We're not just talking about modern trade or politics here. We're talking about thousands of years of civilizational linkage, shared ideas, shared philosophies, shared migrations, and more recently, shared growth. Let's start with people. Over 9 million Indians live and work across the Gulf region. But this isn't just a labor statistic. It's a human bridge. Indian teachers, engineers, doctors, business owners. They're helping build modern Dubai, Abu Dhabi, Riyadh, and Doha. They're not just guests, they're contributors. And that builds something money can't buy. Emotional equity. But now the story is evolving. The Middle East isn't just importing labor from India anymore. It's importing education, healthcare, startups, innovation, and trust. Let me give you examples. The UAE made history by introducing Hindi in its courts. That's not just policy, that's respect. Saudi Arabia is signing tech and AI pacts with Indian firms, because India is producing not just software but solutions. Indian universities, like BIET's Pilani and Amity, are opening campuses in Dubai and Abu Dhabi, training the next generation on Middle Eastern soil. Indian films, music, fashion, they dominate cultural spaces from Cairo to Kuwait. This is soft power done right, not imposed, not bought, just earned, through decades of shared progress. And the best part? India doesn't come with an agenda. It doesn't tell you how to run your religion. It doesn't impose democracy at gunpoint. It doesn't fund proxy wars or demand political loyalty. It says, we still work with you, on your terms, as equals. And that message? It resonates deeply, in a region that's seen enough interference from the West and enough pressure from the East. So what you're seeing now is this quiet cultural shift. The Middle East isn't just looking west anymore, it's looking east, toward India.
Why?
Because India is that rare nation that understands both ancient civilizations and digital disruption. It brings wisdom and Wi-Fi, temples and technology, humility and horsepower. That SIP's powerful. So whether it's helping design smart cities in Saudi Arabia, powering fintech in Bahrain, or co-developing hydrogen corridors with the UAE, India isn't forcing itself into the room, it's being invited. Because the Middle East has realized something profound, you don't just trade with India, you grow with India. And that's the kind of partnership the future demands. If there is steps one truth I live by, whether building rockets, electric cars, or solar panels, it SIPs this. The future belongs to those who decarbonize fastest. The world is standing at the edge of an energy cliff. Europe knows it. The Middle East knows it. Everyone's scrambling for a plan, a partner, a path forward. And here steps the twist most people didn't see coming. India is already halfway up the mountain. Let me explain. We're not talking about vague climate pledges or photo op summits. We're talking about actual progress, real deployment, green infrastructure at scale. India is the third largest producer of renewable energy on Earth. It has one of the most aggressive and achievable net zero targets, carbon neutrality by 2070, and it's already ahead of schedule in multiple sectors. The International Solar Alliance, co-founded by India, now includes over 120 countries, turning India from just an energy consumer into a green superpower. That's huge, because Europe needs clean alternatives, fast. And the Middle